Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Caroline and this is Homestead Shenanigans, although the shenanigans haven't been happening all that much. If you've watched my other videos, you will hopefully remember that I was the crazy lady and went roller skating with friends and fell down and went boom, broke my wrist. So that has been an interesting time recovering from that. It was my first broken bone ever, and I have never been out of commission for this long ever before. So anyway, welcome back, and I've had the last couple weeks off. I started physio, and since I've never had to do that before, that was an interesting challenge. I've had to spend the last 2 weeks exercising every hour, kind of on the hour, and I will show you why. So when I first broke my wrist, they gave me a splint, and after 2 weeks, I thought I would get casted. That was my expectation, and that didn't happen. I went straight into a brace, which was fine. Apparently I'm healing well, and so having my hand immobilized, my wrist and my arm, things change. Your muscles will change, your tendons will change, they'll stiffen up, and I was not expecting that. So this, I'll show you. Probably should have wore a different sweater. Okay, so this is my left hand, and I can flex it, I can twist it, and then I take my right hand. Unfortunately, that was my dominant hand, and so I was used to being able to manipulate my hand like this, and take it out of the brace, and it's like this. And at first, I could flex it, I could extend it by about this much. Now I've spent the last 2 weeks exercising and going to physio, and I can now flex it about like that. So not quite normal if we compare. I can force it, and actually that's part of my exercising, is I have to lengthen all the muscles and all the tendons. And then for extension, so this is normal, and that's about as much as I can do without forcing. So again, I'm going to be extending all of these, and I have different exercises in order to be able to do that. It's not painful. I have to take it to where it's uncomfortable, but it's not painful. And then I can't quite, I'm doing a lot better. There was no way I could do this 2 weeks ago. I know it's a little crazy there. So nice and slow flexing this way and that way. I could not do that either. I've also been limited in how much weight that I could carry while everything was healing. So what they did, and if you don't like scars, don't look, but what they did was they took this bone. You have several bones in your wrist, and they took this bone and they put a plate with screws into that. If you look, you can see the bump. So this, where are we at? This one's flat, and this one has that bump. Even though it's thin metal on my wrist, which doesn't have a lot of flesh or padding, it does stand out. So that's been healing well, and next week I go for x-rays to see how well everything is progressing, but I can now use some weight. I can lift things. I was allowed to lift a coffee cup, but I was uncomfortable doing so. And even now, if I were to lift something heavy, there's kind of a bit of a shake because and this isn't all that heavy. Let me try. Okay, so just the control of turning and twisting my wrist just to drink normal, or eating was challenging because I couldn't get my fork and my wrist to work. So it's been quite the learning experience, and I hope you never have to go through it, but and I hope I never have to go through anything like this again. I've been very careful when I go outside. Living on the homestead, the driveway is all gravel and mud eventually, but right now everything is snow covered. If you lived in the city, you would have scraped it down to pavement, but where I am, you can't because everything's gravel. And so we've had rain last week, which seeped through all the snow, and underneath any snow that's there is ice. So I wear traction devices, and even though I'm not supposed to wear my brace anymore, I wear it when I go outside because I don't want to fall and compromise my wrist. So, welcome back, and I want to kind of go over a few different things. So I moved to the Cozy Camper, a 30-foot travel trailer, the end of October of 2024, and I was here for about a month, and we got hit by snow. Lots of snow, more snow than I have seen in years, since I was actually probably in my 20s the last time I saw this much snow. And usually we get a melt in January, but we didn't get that this year. So the snow hung around, and unfortunately it's caused some roof collapses in the area. It's sad and unfortunate. People have been busy trying to help each other. The community has come together and done what they could. I'm fortunate that there's been some family members on the property, and they have helped to keep the snow off the Cozy Camper so that the camper doesn't lose its roof. Getting back to the broken wrist update, something that I was not expecting, because I had been in the cast, and then when I was using the brace, I had been wiggling my hands, and I had picked up a few things here and there, but the lack of strength. So when I first started my physiotherapy, the gentleman measured my strength, my grip strength. So with my non-dominant hand that's not damaged, I was able to grip 22 pounds. And being female in my 50s, it is what it is, and non-dominant hand. So then I thought, oh, whatever, this will be great. My hand is feeling great. So I pick up the measuring machine, and it was 2 pounds. So that was surprising how quickly we lose strength when we're not using our muscles, when we have to be immobilized, the atrophy that happens. And I was definitely not expecting that. I'm fairly active. I'm, maybe not lifting 50 pounds at a time, although I could in the past, can't now. Not yet. I will be able to again. But I would routinely carry, 20, 30 pounds here or there, cans of gas and diesel to come up to the trailer and different things. But yeah, that was very surprising. So after 2 weeks of physio, I asked to have my grip strength measured again, and yay, it's 4 pounds. Okay, that doesn't. I thought it would be a lot better than that. Um, and when I go back next week, I hope that it will be better. I'll probably ask for another measurement. I'm now doing, as I mentioned earlier, I'm now doing exercises like almost every hour in the hour. And I'm now starting to do some weight training. So, little itty bitty, hold on, wrong side, 2 pound weights. And so I need to get the wrist to work again. So, again, if I keep my arm straight, I can't bring that up very much. But if I use the non-broken one, I can bring it up quite a bit. So that's what I've been doing over the last 2 weeks. And on the homestead, since I've been broken and recuperating, everything kind of came to a halt. Between the snow, the winter, I was working a lot before I broke myself. And so springtime is what I'm waiting for. Originally, I was going to breed the rabbits and get them going. I was kind of waiting until the worst of the cold was over with. And then I broke my wrist the end of January. And we had quite some cold spells during February. And I wanted to wait, not to mention you have to, when you're breeding your rabbits, I do the cage system instead of a colony style, and so you don't want the rabbits together because they will fight, and the females will remove a male's testicles if you leave them together too long. And my rabbits are meat rabbits. They're between 10 and 12 pounds, and I was limited to about 5 pounds of weight, not to mention they move around, and since I haven't been picking them up for a couple months now, they're going to be squirmy, and my wrist just can't take those quick movements. Probably can now, but I'm waiting until my x-rays next week to make sure everything is healing well and what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do, because I don't want to have a permanent disability. I want to be able to go back and work like normal, whether that, even if I don't, although I will be going back to work, but I want to be able to work around the homestead and be able to use my arms and my wrists and have the mobility. I want to have the mobility that I had prior. I've seen so many elderly people that they've lost the ability to move like they used to, and I don't want that. I want to live a long, healthy life, and I want to be able to move and have the mobility for as long as possible. So that was my wrist update. Rabbit breeding, I'm looking at possibly the end of March, beginning of April, to see where I'm comfortable handling them. I don't want anybody else to handle them. They're mine. It's my project. So until that happens, breeding's on hold. And right now we have several feet of snow out there that's slowly melting. So garden planning. We're in March. Typically in this area, our last frost date is around what we in Canada call May 24 weekend. And that is Victoria Day weekend. So that was Queen Victoria. It was her birthday. And in Canada, we call it the May 24 because it usually lands in and around the 24th of May. And a lot of people go buy a 2-4 of beer. Speaking of alcohol, I have been limiting to maybe 1 drink a week. Alcohol limits and actually destroys your immune system, and it doesn't help you heal. And I wanted all the healing ability that I could to get back to normal as quickly as I could. And so I limited my alcohol, but there's been the odd birthday, and so I'll have one. So next on my list, and this will probably be a topic for maybe later this week. So I don't want to get political at all. That's not what this channel is about. It's about homesteading and preparing, which is what homesteading is about. We want to know where our food is coming from. We want to live and be self-sufficient, relying on ourselves as much as possible and the community around ourselves. Unfortunately, world events tends to impact what we're doing. Now, I can breed my rabbits. World events isn't going to compromise that. The rabbits are going to be rabbits and do what rabbits do. I can, grow my garden and no one's going to say, no, you can't do that. But world events could very well impact what happens to me and where I need to position myself for the future. So I moved to the Cozy Camper to cut down on expenses and to be closer to family, which has helped. It's been a big help during this time that I have not been working. But by the time I'm ready to go back to work, it could be that I may not have a job for long, depending what happens over the next month and weeks after that. So my day job is working in the automotive industry, and living in Canada, there's a possibility that those jobs may just disappear south of the border. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Wish I did sometimes. But yeah, so there is uncertainty about, after I go back to work, how long I'm going to have, or whether it's going to be full-time. I know during the learning to speak again. I know during the 2008 recession, although I wasn't working there, they had reduced hours. And so that can be concerning. My goal over the next few weeks before I go back to work is to start building up multiple streams of income. And sometimes we need to prepare ourselves for future events. And that is why a lot of people have turned to homesteading and getting into the preparedness lifestyle. And we saw that mostly during 2020, when we didn't know how our supply chain was going to be impacted. Toilet paper, anyone? I didn't have to worry about toilet paper. I had a good supply. I consider myself a baby prepper, and I had to get rid of a lot of things and use things up. When I moved here, I don't have the storage that I used to, but I'm feeling the need that I need to build that up again. Now I do have family and they have storage supplies, so I may just contribute to theirs and find a way to store things in their properties. Because I don't have heated space, and there are certain things that require at least an above freezing temperature to store. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. The other thing, we're looking at price increases. No matter what happens during this tariff war, we, the little people, we, the people that are not in control of anything, we are facing price increases. And it doesn't matter who wins, it doesn't matter what eventually happens. We're the ones that have to go to the grocery store. We're the ones that, we're the ones that are going to have to pay the price. Sorry, there's hair. And I want to future-proof myself and my family from some of those price increases. As well as price increases, we're possibly, again, like what happened in 2020, 2021, we may be looking at a lack of availability. Again, if we start looking at the tariff wars that are going on between Canada, the United States, China, a lot of things are made in other countries. And it doesn't matter what country you live in, your goods, all the countries are interconnected. We get food from Peru, we get some things from China, we get our cell phones from Korea sometimes, and I could be wrong about that, but all of the goods and services, all the goods that we buy are intertwined with all the other countries. We have trade agreements with so many, and they all seem to be fighting all at the same time, so we need to prepare for that. And if that means stocking up on some things, and I don't mean hoarding, there's no point in buying beans and rice if your diet doesn't let you eat beans and rice. There's no point in running out and buying a supply of freeze-dried goods that are good for 25 years. Are you going to eat it now? Are you going to eat it in the next year? We need to have a constant supply and figure out how to keep that supply going throughout all of this so that we are not without, or if we are going to be without something, we can supply something else. And what I've learned from breaking my wrist, and I wasn't sick, especially being in my 50s, I need to get stronger. And that means increasing my my fitness level. That means lifting more weights. So instead of 2 pounds, I move it up to 5 pounds and more. Getting a personal trainer so that I can lift heavier, lifting weights, and so lifting weights will help build bone, and it will help build bone strength. And the stronger your bones are, the easier it is when you fall for your bones to bend instead of break. They won't be as fragile. Even though it feels like your bones will break if they're too strong, they tend to withstand falling, and you'll just bruise yourself more. Now, I was roller skating, so I'm not sure if that would have changed anything or not. But I also don't want to be dealing with osteoporosis as I move into my next part of my life. So there's that. The other thing I need to do is build some skills. So I'm with breeding the rabbits, I'm learning animal husbandry. And eventually I plan on, I think my next animal on the homestead will be quail. They're small, they're easy to house, they're easy to look after, and their eggs are very nutrient dense. They start producing eggs by the time they're about 8 weeks. Some of them starting at about 6 weeks of age. Unlike a chicken, you're looking at 22 to 24 weeks before they start producing. You have to feed them during that time. Now, don't get me wrong, I do want to get chickens and ducks, but I think my next animal will be quail. So we'll see how that goes. And some skills. Now, my skills, I can talk to people. So there's that. I enjoy actually connecting with my local preparedness groups, and I attend many of their events, and I learn as much as I can from them. So I need to learn canning so that I can safely preserve things, and so that it doesn't have to go into the freezer. Preserving some meats actually is what I want to do, because if the power goes out and my freezers don't freeze anymore, then I could lose any and all meat that I have stocked up on. So there's that. Also, as I've been sitting here recuperating, I've been on YouTube University, and I've decided I want to learn some woodworking. I like knitting and crocheting, but for the amount of time that you put into those skills, and sewing, the amount of time that you put into those skills, you can't sell the products. And I'm looking at skills that will make me money. So going into doing some woodworking, making some small projects, I can sell those projects and make a bit of money to help build up my skills more, and to help on the homestead, either buying feed or more animals, and helping to alleviate the possible lack of income from my day job down the road. And then this gets me to kind of the last part of this video. So I think I've mentioned a couple times, I'll actually have to go back on the video and listen to it, that I want to create multiple streams of income, because having just a job, that can disappear like that. And anyone who went through the 2008 recession, you know that. You know, all of a sudden things can happen, and that could happen with this trade war. My job could disappear like that. Very quickly, actually. It won't be, I don't think it will be a slow process. I think that if my job disappears, it's going to be, I show up and guess what? Tomorrow, don't bother coming back. Or on Friday, when I go to leave for the weekend, don't come back on Monday. Unfortunately, I think that could be, you know, things may happen that I may keep my job for another year. I don't know. But that is a very strong possibility. And the other thing, after this winter, I'm really nervous about driving in winter storms now. Before I broke my wrist, there were several, and I was praying to a higher power to either get me to work or get me home. And I want to figure out a way so that by October or November, I don't have to do that anymore. Driving in those storms is scary, and since I've been sitting at home on my local road conditioning groups, I've been watching accidents after accidents. Now, no one actually, no, pardon me, there were a couple of people that lost their lives, but you know, people have lost their cars. They've been seriously damaged, physically damaged, and had to go to hospital. And I don't want to have to deal with that. So I want to make as much money to replace my job as I can over the next, what are we here? We're in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So over the next 8 months, I'm giving myself about 7.5 months to get a plan together and have more than one stream of income. So a couple of the things that I'm looking at doing, one is this YouTube channel, and I'm hoping to get it monetized. And if you don't know anything about monetizing on YouTube, in order to monetize, you need 1,000 subscribers. So if you like my channel, if you like what I have to say, hit the subscribe button. I only need 989 more. Yes, I have 11. It's exciting. And the second thing that I need is 4,000 watch hours in 365 days. So if this is the first video on my channel that you are watching, go back and watch the other ones. I appreciate it. So another thing that I am doing is, and I did mention this in in another video, is I am a writer, and currently I am writing a cozy mystery series. It's not published yet. Unfortunately, when I had the surgery to put the plate in my wrist, you get this brain fog after surgery, and it took me a couple of weeks to kind of get my brain back working. It was very weird. It's almost like baby brain when you're pregnant, and you know, your brain is focused on so many other things, and I was just focused on healing, so I wasn't able to put words on the paper. And I'm now back doing that, and I'm hoping to get quite a bit more done before I have to go back to work and take away that time. And then I have this post-apocalyptic series that keeps kind of poking me right there. I try to ignore it so I can write the cozy mysteries. So I did mention this on another video, and as I'm writing the post-apocalyptic, it'll be probably a little while before I start, but I am going to start reading scene by scene on this channel, and I'm hoping that will get my views up, and I'm hoping that will get my watch time hours up. And if anyone enjoys that kind of thing, that they will subscribe to my channel as well. And then I did mention that I want to get into some woodworking and some skills that will also bring me in money. Now, I'm not expecting any one thing to replace my income in 8 months, but that is the goal, is to have all of these multiple streams kind of come together and replace my income. It's not like I'm making $100,000 a year. I am making more than minimum wage at my job, but it's not a lot. I'm very grateful for what I do make. I'm very thankful that it is more than minimum wage. But I would like to make that kind of money and not have to leave my house as much. So anyway, if you like this video and you want to follow on my journey, and hopefully there will be some real shenanigans happening, maybe when we get the quail, maybe when I breed the rabbits, I don't know how that's going to go. Stay tuned. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all the things, hit the bell, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.